welcome. I'm Millicent Nwaka. Tonight, two former Nigerian leaders, General Ibrahim Babangida and Dr. Goodluck Jonathan, make strong statements on the indivisibility of the country, also support restructuring and national coexistence. Security agencies ponder on frequent suicide attacks at the University of Maiduguri in Borno State as the police intensify action to unravel cause of incidents. Inspector General of Police says the leadership of the force will no longer tolerate corruption, warns officers to desist from such acts. And the U.S. Supreme Court partially lifts injunction against President Trump's travel ban.
And in business news tonight, advocacy experts commend improved access to loans through federal government's new credit law for small and medium businesses.
On sports news, double sprint world record holder Usain Bolt insists on his decision to retire after the IAAF World Athletics Championships in August.
And from Abuja, Minister of Health, Professor Isaac Adewale, raises alarm on Lassa fever, says disease is no respect of individuals, also warns families on clean living.
We begin with the former military head of state, General Ibrahim Babangida, who has added his voice to the call for the restructuring of the country. General Babangida, whose position is contained in his EID-EL-FITR message to Nigerians, also condemned the spate of hate speeches from different groups in the country. According to him, although the country has survived many crises in the past, restructuring can no longer be wished away. In his words, quote, "Restructuring has become a national appeal as we speak, whose time has come. I will strongly advocate for devolution of powers to the extent that more responsibilities be given to the state, while the federal government is vested with the responsibility to oversee our foreign policy, defense and economy." He went on to say that even the idea of having federal roads in towns and cities has become outdated and urgently needs revisiting. That means we need to tinker with our constitution to accommodate new thoughts that will strengthen our nationality, end of quote. General Babangida also advocated for the adoption of state policing, saying that the initial fears that state governors will misuse the officers and men of the state police have become moribund. The former military ruler rounded up his message by appealing to Nigerians, especially the youth, to keep alive the dreams of the nation's founders, insisting that Nigeria has all it takes to lead the African continent by virtue of its population diversity and sheer determination of its people. And amidst calls for secession and quit notices, a former president of Nigeria, Dr. Goodluck Jonathan, has appealed to all Nigerians to see the unity of Nigeria as a paramount issue that must not be toyed with. Speaking in Abuja while playing host to the forum of former PDP ministers, Dr. Jonathan says no nation can develop under an atmosphere of insecurity and threats to the peaceful existence of the country.
The unity of the country is paramount. We cannot develop as a nation, no matter how people demonstrate. No president can do magic if there's so much tension in the land. Because immediately there is a sense of insecurity in any country. Investors pull back. And when investors pull back, then of course the economy will drop. What improves the economy is confidence. And what makes investors have that confidence is peace. Nobody wants to go and invest except those who invest in arms and ammunition. Nobody wants to go and invest where you are not too sure of the security of your workers, of your facilities, and so on. So we should all pray and work towards that peace. And that is the only way, as a nation, we can grow the economy. The ministers from all over the country coming together under one platform is unique. Because Nigeria is a country that we should every time do things that will bring us together. We should begin to reduce the cleavages and the fault lines.
Former President Goodluck Jonathan speaking there. The Defence Headquarters says the Armed Forces of Nigeria is non-sectional, regional or tribal and is ready to protect the lives and property of all in the country. A statement signed by the Director of Defence Information, Major General John Ememche, says the military is focused on building its capacity to meeting the security challenges in the country in collaboration with other countries with similar challenges, Pakistan being one of them. The statement, which was released in response to a voice clip in one of the major languages of the country that has been in circulation on social media, says, quote, "The Nigerian troops that trained as a unit on counter-terrorism in Pakistan were drawn from the Nigerian Army, Navy and Air Force in line with the concept of the force generation. The personnel cuts across all the religions as enshrined in the Nigerian constitution and all the geopolitical zones. It is not an isolated training program, but an existing and continuous exercise." End of quote. The Inspector General of Police, Mr. Ibrahim Idris, has warned all officers and men of the Nigerian police force to shun acts of corruption so as not to terminate their career abruptly. Speaking in Abuja while on a working visit to the Garki police formation as part of activities marking his 1 year in office, Mr. Idris says the leadership of the force will continue to reward deserving policemen who are upright and just in the performance of their duties.
I want us to continue to exhibit the best of behavior in our contact with with the community, while on our roads, while in our police stations, while in the CID, that's in our investigation bodies. We should conduct ourselves in the best attributes of a police officer. That is what is going to sell you. We should shun police of corruption. We should shun police of harassment, intimidation of innocent people. The police force were meant to protect and serve.
Residents of the farming community of Ashige in Nasarawa State are appealing to the government to intervene in curtailing the incessant invasion of herdsmen. While the farmers say they are afraid of attacks and have held several meetings to forestall any violent confrontations. This next report takes a look at how both parties and the state government are handling the fragile matter.
The worn-out sign that welcomes visitors into Ashige community in Lafayette East local government area of Nasarawa State gives us a feeling that this town, along with the estimated 500,000 people living here, have been through a lot. And indeed, they have. It is said that there was a time children ran free without fear of strangers. But now, the sight of our cameras sends them scampering. Something has made the air here in this predominantly farming community uneasy. Even the adults are nervous. But they quietly go about their business of sieving the grains of rice and maize and preparing the meals. The community already bears the scars of violence, which came about from a communal clash in 2014. Now, there is another problem rearing its head and threatening their fragile peace. Herdsmen. Cows have taken over their land, a situation that has left the farmers uninterested in going to their farms. To avoid clashes between both parties, a series of meetings have been held to map out ways peace can be achieved.
We have held meetings with headsmen 3 times, and next week we will convene another one because we are not happy with what they are doing. Both portions that are their routes and those that are not, they just invade. We used to convene meetings between us and farmers so that young rearers can refrain from destroying farmlands, and this has minimized destruction to a large extent. And now the destructions are not like it used to be when meetings were not held, and every day we charge parents to caution their children from engaging in such acts so that they can live in peace.
The recent state government project in the community, comprising a school and boreholes, have put smiles on the faces of residents. So they are guarding against any act of violence that could turn the structures to rubble.
We feel that if government itself will stand and speaks to them, I believe they will understand, they will listen, and also able to stop all what is happening in the village.
Keeping a close eye on things is the state government, which says all stakeholders are meeting to avoid a breakdown of law and order.
The governor of Nasarawa State has established a local community conflict resolution mechanism, or a committee, if you like, that has the local government authority, the IMC, and overseers in the case of development areas, with traditional rulers whose domain these people operate within, to ensure that there is what we call proactive and then preemptive efforts.
Two things are certain. The farmers must tend to their farms, and the cattle must graze. How this can be achieved without bloodshed is an answer that must be arrived at quickly, before the familiar sounds of chaos play again.
And staying in the north, police authorities in Borno State have confirmed 16 casualties from Sunday's multiple explosions that rocked the University of Maiduguri. The Borno State Commissioner of Police, Damian Chukwu, confirmed that the attack was carried out by 7 suicide bombers at 3 different locations within the university. Mr. Chukwu says the suicide bombers and 9 others, including security personnel of the university, all died in the attacks. 13 other persons who sustained different forms of injury are currently receiving treatment at the University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital.
In its 42-year history, the University of Maiduguri in Borno State has not witnessed such viciousness. Before this, there had been 4 bomb attacks on the institution, all in 2017 alone.
These bombs are not done, I wouldn't say they are done inside the town. No, they are done maybe in nearby bushes and all that. So we have this intelligence. We give intelligence. The civil defense also brings intelligence. The military themselves also have the SSS.
This latest attack is coming on a day when Muslim faithful were rounding off their EID-EL-FITR celebrations, which is meant to celebrate happiness. But all the joy of the period seems to have been wiped out, replaced with death and destruction. The impact of the blasts, said to have been carried out by 7 bombers, took out 9 people. As bodies of victims and the suicide bombers are moved into the ambulance, the governor is on an assessment tour of the school. In his livid state, he slams the ideology bent on forcing the university to shut down, insisting that the state will not be forced into retreat.
We have a moral obligation to intervene to see that this great citadel of learning did not close shop. Even in the height of the Boko Haram, university was open for business. We see no reason why we shall give leeway to the lunatics to force us to close down this institution. This institution, in terms of landmass, is one of the biggest in the country. Even in terms of student population, it's among the top 10 universities in Nigeria. So we are going to intervene and do whatever it takes.
It is terrible that actions like this attempt to force a people to its knees. However, it will take a lot of will, political and social, to repel and conquer.
In part 2, after the break, we'll be taking a look at the rot in the education sector. Do stay with us.